On the morning of February 28, 2026, the world woke up to something it had never seen before: smoke rising over Tehran. Explosions reported in Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan simultaneously. Dubai International Airport, the single busiest international airport on Earth, shut down completely. Airlines canceling flights across the entire region. And then, a statement on Truth Social from the President of the United States posted at 2:30 in the morning. The supreme leader is dead. Ali Khamenei, the man who had controlled Iran for 35 years, the man who had outlasted multiple presidents, multiple wars, and multiple assassination attempts, had been killed in a joint U.S.-Israeli airstrike, the most fortified man in the Middle East, gone. On today's episode, we're breaking down everything that happened, how it happened, and what it means for the world going forward. First, some context, because this didn't come out of nowhere. Iran and the United States had been engaged in a new round of nuclear negotiations in early 2026. The talks collapsed. According to President Trump's statement on February 28th, the U.S. had been unable to reach any diplomatic agreement with Iran on its nuclear program. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio later disclosed that Israel had already been preparing to strike Iranian leadership, and that the U.S. joined specifically to prevent American forces in the region from being blindsided by the fallout. In fact, senior Trump advisors had reportedly suggested it would be strategically better if Israel struck first, giving the U.S. a cleaner justification to enter after Iran retaliated. Trump himself later disputed that framing. But here's the critical detail. A previous Israeli attempt to assassinate Khamenei had already happened. During what's known as the 12-Day War in June 2025, Israel reportedly wanted to target Khamenei, and Trump vetoed it. This time, he didn't. At 3:38 p.m. Eastern Time on February 27th, while flying aboard Air Force One to Corpus Christi, Texas, Donald Trump gave the order to proceed with Operation Epic Fury. Airstrikes began the following morning at approximately 9:45 a.m. Tehran time. This was not a small operation. This was a coordinated, simultaneous, multi-city campaign. Operation Roaring Lion, Israel's name for its component of the mission, and Operation Epic Fury, the American designation, hit cities across Iran at once. Tehran, Isfahan, Qom, Karaj, and Kermanshah were all struck in the opening hours. The targets were not random, they were specific. Key Iranian officials, IRGC military commanders, ballistic missile facilities, and leadership compounds. According to CBS News, citing U.S. and intelligence sources, approximately 40 senior Iranian officials were killed in the opening strikes, including Defense Minister Aziz Nasirzadeh, IRGC Commander Mohammad Pakpour, the head of the military office of Khamenei, and the chief of intelligence for Iran's emergency command. On March 1st, Army Chief of Staff Abdul Rahim Musavi was also confirmed dead by Iranian state media. But the single defining moment was the strike on Khamenei's compound. According to the New York Times, Khamenei and his officials made the critical error of being above ground in broad daylight, something analysts noted was unusual given how reclusive he had become after the June 2025 war. The bunker beneath his compound reportedly had an elevator that took more than 5 minutes to reach the bottom. He wasn't in it. Satellite imagery later confirmed his residence was severely damaged. An unnamed Israeli official said Khamenei's body was located, and a photograph was shown to Prime Minister Netanyahu. Iranian state media initially denied it, calling him safe and sound, as late as the evening of February 28th. By just before midnight in Tehran, Iran's government confirmed it. Khamenei was dead. His wife, Mansoura Khojesta Bagherzadeh, died from injuries 2 days later, on March 2nd. Here's where things escalate fast. Iran named its response Operation True Promise 4, and the scale of it was remarkable. Within hours of the first strikes, Iranian ballistic missiles and drones were heading toward U.S. military bases in Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Iraq, and the United Arab Emirates simultaneously. The Pentagon confirmed on March 1st that 3 U.S. troops had been killed, the first American casualties of the conflict. Iran also launched over 500 ballistic and naval missiles and nearly 2,000 drones within the first 5 days of the conflict, according to a military source cited by Fars news agency on March 5th. Israel wasn't spared either. On February 28th, Iranian missiles struck Tel Aviv, killing 1 woman and injuring 22 others. On March 1st, a strike hit a synagogue and residential buildings in Beit Shemesh, killing 9 people and injuring 49. The Israeli broadcaster Khan 11 reported that Iran launched 90, 65, and 25 missiles at Israel on the first 3 consecutive days of the war. And while the number of missiles decreased per day, each volley that followed was larger and more powerful. On March 1st, the IRGC escalated further, claiming to have fired 4 ballistic missiles directly at the USS Abraham Lincoln, the American aircraft carrier stationed in the region, and saying its strikes had entered a new phase. The Pentagon acknowledged the attack, but confirmed the carrier was not hit. The IRGC also reported striking 3 oil tankers belonging to the US and Britain in the Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz, with vessels reported on fire. The global reaction was complicated, and that's putting it mildly. In Tehran, the scenes were surreal. Some Iranians went into the streets to mourn, others went into the streets to celebrate. Reports emerged of residents in northern Tehran opening their windows and applauding. In Karaj and other cities, crowds waved the pre-1979 Iranian flag, the lion and sun, associated with the era before the Islamic Revolution. In Times Square in New York, hundreds of Iranian Americans rallied in support of the strikes, chanting for the late Shah's son, Reza Pahlavi. But the international political reaction was far more divided. Russia described the US-Israeli operation as an unprovoked act of armed aggression. China condemned Khamenei's killing as a violation of the United Nations Charter. North Korea called it illegal aggression. The UN Security Council convened an emergent session on February 28th, but passed no resolution. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, along with the leaders of France and Germany, condemned the Iranian counterstrikes while calling for resumed diplomacy. The EU's foreign policy chief, Kaja Kallas, called Khamenei's death a defining moment in Iran's history and said it opened what she described as a possible path toward a different Iran. The economic fallout was immediate. 2 of the world's largest shipping companies stopped accepting cargo bound for the Persian Gulf. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped over 900 points at the opening bell. The Strait of Hormuz, through which approximately 20% of the world's oil supply moves, was under direct threat. Multiple Gulf states began reviewing whether force majeure clauses could be invoked in foreign contracts, according to reporting by the Financial Times. And here's the question nobody can fully answer yet. Because Iran, without a supreme leader, is, constitutionally speaking, in uncharted territory. The position of Vice Supreme Leader was abolished in 1989. There is no officially named successor. The Assembly of Experts, Iran's 88-member clerical body, is constitutionally responsible for naming one. On March 1st, Ali Larijani, Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, announced that an interim leadership council would be formed, including Assembly of Experts member Ali Reza Arafi, President Masoud Pezeshkian, and Chief Justice Gholam Hossein Mohseni Agi. The IRGC, Iran's Revolutionary Guard, is pushing for a permanent successor to be named quickly. According to the Fars news agency, they claim to be at the final stages of choosing. The New York Times reported that Mujtaba Khamenei, the son of the deceased supreme leader, is considered the most likely successor, though his appointment would be deeply controversial given his lack of clerical credentials. But here's the complication. According to analysis from the UK's House of Commons Library, many of the IRGC figures who were considered potential successors to Khamenei may themselves have been killed in the opening strikes. The CIA had reportedly already assessed several as likely candidates before the war began. Iran's foreign ministry itself stated that the military had lost control over several units, which were operating according to old general instructions. That detail, in the middle of an active war, is significant. So, where does this leave us? As of March 6, 2026, the war is still active. The U.S. Senate failed to pass a resolution curbing Trump's war powers. Trump himself has said there are no time limits on the conflict. Defense Secretary Hegseth stated it has only just begun. Iran's President Pezeshkian has declared revenge a legitimate right and duty. On one hand, Iran's military leadership has been devastated. Khamenei is gone. Dozens of senior officials and commanders are dead. Its ballistic missile facilities have been struck. Its air defenses have been penetrated. On the other hand, Iran has now fired over 500 ballistic missiles and nearly 2,000 drones in less than a week. Hezbollah has re-entered the conflict, firing rockets at northern Israel on March 2nd for the first time since the November 2024 ceasefire. Iranian-linked groups in Iraq, Yemen, and Syria are all actively engaged. The Strait of Hormuz remains under threat, and a succession battle inside Iran, in the middle of an active war, adds a layer of internal instability that no one can fully predict. The historian's warning in situations like this is always the same. Removing a leader does not automatically remove the system, and the chaos that follows sometimes outlasts the war that caused it. The question isn't just what happened. The question is, what comes next?